Hi, this is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert. And welcome to my Morning Mood podcast. Forgot to almost invite you there. Or thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to my Morning Mood podcast. I'm so excited about the topic. I skipped over that a little bit. The title of today's podcast is called In the Arena. And I want to read to you a portion of a speech from Theodore Roosevelt from 1910. And this is the famous speech called The Man in the Arena. And this particular passage has inspired me for years. And it was something I thought about deeply when I was starting this podcast. So here it is, Man in the Arena. So here it is, Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong person stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. It's, yes, we have to dare greatly. So when I started this podcast, I was worried. Who in their right mind wants to listen to what I have to say? Why would this be at all interesting? But there was a part of me that said that I had to do this. I had to be vulnerable. I had to dare greatly. And when I stepped into the arena, what unfolded for me was shocking. The support, the resonation, the love was completely unexpected. We have to take risk. We have to get on that plane. We have to take that interview. We have to take that project, even if we know we're going to fail. When I was at Nordstrom, I worked with this wonderful woman named Lisa. And I was really driving a lot of change at Nordstrom, really giving it everything I had, which is really what they needed and what 80% of the people thought needed to happen. But that 20% was really getting to me, and I was frustrated. And I went to go talk to Lisa because Lisa was never frustrated. She seemed to be a cool cat all the time. So I went to go talk to Lisa, and this is what Lisa said to me. She said, Kim, if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. And it was a light bulb moment for me to be able to accept that bumping up against the edge of the envelope was a good thing, that falling down meant that I was learning something new, that being a little bit scared was because it was unfamiliar, not because it was bad. Falling down and failing is one of the best gifts. It is a true blessing. And when you can embrace that and you can love failing, the world changes for you. It becomes less about being perfect and being right and more about getting it right and learning along the way. I deleted so many podcasts. I tried so many times. And until it was perfect, I wasn't going to be able to do it. But I had to let go of that because I had to get in the arena. Daring greatly is where it's at. Amazon was a daring greatly. Creating a business where no business had ever been before, a book delivery business, taking on a behemoth of Barnes and Noble, going where no one has gone before, daring greatly to build and believe in something that no one else has done. There are so many stories of men and women, actually more women, that have dared greatly. The Mary Kay story is another beautiful story about someone daring greatly, going outside of the norm to build something that became an international success. Another way I've heard this expressed is that if you don't act on something in the first 5 seconds that you think of it, I want to say hi to that person. I want to create a podcast. I want to bake a cake. I want to start a business. I want to send an email. I want to reach out to someone. If you don't do that, if you don't actually take action on that, basically immediately in the first 5 seconds, what happens is your ego takes over. And your ego, your job of your ego is to keep you safe. That's why we have egos. Some of our egos get a little bit out of control. Well, we've talked about that. But your ego's job is to keep you safe. So when you say, "Oh, I'm gonna go," mountain bike that black diamond, and your ego, and before you can even do it, you're like, "Oh no, that's too dangerous." That's your ego keeping you safe. And that's an extreme example. But it also limits you and it holds you back from exploring new things. Because as I mentioned before, when you feel scared of something, it's generally because it's just unfamiliar and your body doesn't have a stored experience for that. And so it feels scary. Once you have a stored experience for something, it becomes familiar and becomes less scary. So that is what's holding you back is your ego saying, don't embarrass yourself. Why would people listen to you? You're an idiot. If you heard the voices in my head on a daily basis, you'd be shocked. You'd feel bad for me. You would actually feel bad for me. But that is what happened. But the pull to jump into the arena, to do this, to make a podcast about supply chain leadership and life from a completely authentic, honest, transparent space based on over 30 years of experience from being a freight forwarder to the architect of Amazon global supply chain, to step into that and to share that, to drop the ego, to say, I'm going to do it. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but I'm going to learn something. I'm going to learn what resonates with my audience. I'm going to learn if I have anything valuable to say. And that for me is the most important part of this is learning about how this works and how I can make it better. I come into this space being totally vulnerable, ready to tell you how I fucked it up. All of these lessons I learned by daring greatly, by getting into the arena and just getting my ass kicked almost every day. When I first started at Amazon, I had never been to business school. I had never written a business document. I had never created an Excel formula. I'm still pretty bad at those, by the way. Thank God for AI. I was not trained in business at all. What I did know was freight forwarding and customs compliance. I knew the hell out of that shit, but I didn't know anything about running a business. And I jumped in both feet first, and I got my ass handed to me on a daily basis for about 6 months while I figured out what the hell I was supposed to do. My first OP1 document was an embarrassment. It was 1 page long. It was so bad. It didn't even make it out of the first review. Like, they are like, "You cannot please, you will embarrass the entire department if you take this anywhere." I had never written one before. I didn't know what they were supposed to look like. To be quite frankly honest with you, I didn't know what the fuck it was. So, like, an OP1 document. I was like, "What is that?" But I learned, and I asked for help, and I was vulnerable, and I dared greatly. There are so many times where I have walked into the arena not knowing what was gonna happen, how it was gonna turn out, if it was gonna be successful. I didn't know. But we have to try. We have to put down the ego. We have to follow that notion. Do it in those 5 seconds. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what's gonna come out on the other end. Those 5 seconds can change your life. So I'm challenging you, my audience, to dare greatly today. Get into the arena. Do that thing that has been nagging at you, that little tiny idea that just sticks in the back of your head and it's just there all the time. Try it. It might surprise you. Dare greatly, my friends. I will talk to you tomorrow.